So the ENA is only focusing on charts and points of interest. Like, we're going to be marking out areas. When it comes to strategy, you do whatever makes sense for you. I do not recommend Asian session only because I have only had bad luck with Asian session. Asian session usually tends to consolidate, so it's not really like a mover for me. It's not really something that's gonna like give me a nice profitable win rate, you know. I can't really depend on Asian session. Yeah, you don't want to be in a position for like 6-8 hours that only moves like 10 pips like sometimes, so it's really not worth that. If you do have a strategy that works on Asian session, more power to you. We'll identify some points of interest and you'll probably be able to get into those, but the majority of the traders in this group usually do London and New York session, right? And then Aussie session is just dead, so don't even consider that a session. Yeah, exactly. AMD powered of 3. If you're asking me if I want to trade the Asian session, my answer is going to be no. Reason being, it's a consolidation, and I mean, I can't really justify the fact that sometimes it might move, sometimes it doesn't, but it's just not enough volatility, not enough volume behind it to actually make it worthwhile. So if your question is like, should I trade Asian session, just off rip by asking that question, your answer should be no. Unless you have some kind of crazy strategy. Like I said, everyone has their own strategies. If it works for you and it's profitable, go for it. But if you're questioning it, just don't trade the Asian session. Just my point of view. Yeah, throw Asian session out. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I haven't traded Hugo's way in a while. 15 pip spread. Damn, that's a good spread amount. Yeah, right back down to like pretty much 0. Yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah, there's a lot of spread in Asian session. I honestly haven't even paid attention to that because I don't trade it. I did trade it like a few weeks ago, and I did make a killing on NAS, on NAS. But that's only because I had a really good setup that it was such an amazing entry that I was like, you know what, I'll risk it. And it was like a 2-to-1, and yeah. Alright, cool. So it's 7:09 p.m. Welcome everyone to the charting session. We have these sessions every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right now we did have a time change due to daylight savings times in the United States. It doesn't really affect the rest of the world, it affects us. But now our time's a little bit different for you guys back home if you're not based in the US. So we try to do these every single Sunday. This is more of a pretty much a discipline, right? When it comes to trading, this is more psychology. Make it a habit to back test. Make it a habit to actually, dedicate some time to the charts and plan out for the week ahead. If not, then you're just pretty much, looking for things to happen, and you might even confuse yourself throughout the trading week and create entries that are not really there just because you're anxious to get into the trades. So in order to avoid that, let's plan out some points of interest together. We'll go over a couple of different pairs that I'm watching that I usually trade, and then I'll usually ask you at the end to see if who has any suggestions for pairs that we can go over together as a group. Usually they turn out to be very, very well when we go through it together as a group at the end, and I end up identifying some pretty cool points of interest. Last week was a really rough trading week for everyone. it was either an extremely profitable one, or you probably just got rocked, due to the fact that the market was in NFP news, which is a really strong, volatile, heavy hitter red folder news. If you're not familiar with folders and the colors when it comes to like news, definitely look into news before you start trading for the day. Definitely look into the news for the week before you start trading for the week. Today we're going to go over a couple of different things when it comes to the news. This is something that I've noticed that have been lacking, due to the fact that it's such a basic thing that I kind of like forget. You know, kind of like how when you ride a bike, you forget how to, go through the motions of riding the bike because you just do it second nature. So news is one of those things. I check the news every single day before trading, and I check the news every single Sunday right before looking at the week ahead. So we can get used to it. I'm going to post in the chat right now. This is Forex Factory. This is the calendar. In this calendar, you're going to see the weekly calendar. We're going to go over the week ahead, right? So you will see right at the week ahead, starting Sunday, November 5th, red folder news when it comes to USD. Most of the pairs I trade are USD, but if you have any other pairs that you do trade, be very, very cautious when it comes to the red folders, right? So let's say, for example, if you trade GBP, JPY, make sure you're checking for whatever folder has JPY or whatever folder has GBP. Also be aware of that the market conditions also are affected by USD news. So whenever you have any red folder USD news, no matter what the pair, trust me, you are not safe. One time I was in a CAD CHF. We're talking about Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, right? I was in that trade. I thought I was safe. USD news hits the market and my pairs went the complete opposite of the price action that it was supposed to go. So do not trust the market when it comes to red folder news on the USD pairs. Make sure you're always watching those USD pairs, right? This news, this week coming up, we do have one day. I think we have 2 days, excuse me. So Wednesday we do have red folder news on the USD. That's at 9:15 a.m. We also have Thursday, right? Thursday red folder USD news. That's at 8:30 a.m. That's unemployment claims. Those usually hold a pretty good amount of weight to it, volatility. And then you have Friday November 10th at 10 a.m. you have UOM red folder news as well, University of Michigan. So those are the days we should definitely be extra careful when it comes to the market. I usually tend to wait an hour after news before going into the market, depending on how much volatility there is there. Now if you're talking about like FOMC, CPI, NFP, those weeks are going to be extremely volatile, and I wouldn't even trade that same day. I would skip it completely. Any other red folder news, you can pretty much, I wouldn't say play it safe, but it wouldn't be as volatile as those other big heavy hitter news. But definitely give it like an hour to cool off to see like what the market conditions are going to be. So with that being said, right, every single Sunday we're going to go over the news. We're going to talk about red folder news when it comes to USD, and then also double check on your pairs, whatever other pairs that you guys are trading when it comes to your red folder news for the week. Now that you guys have the link, save it, bookmark it. What's up? Lawrence, you mind muting your mic, please? Alrighty, so now without further ado, we're gonna go in the charts. I like to start off the charts with indices. My indice of choice is a NASDAQ, right? So we did have a crazy week last week. If you can see right here by my trend line, we are right now on the daily. My trend line right here, I've had it planned out since September. So this little trend line, we've been following it beautifully, right? We're gonna clean up this chart a little bit. These are my sessions when it comes to silver bullet. So we're gonna remove these. You are not seeing my screen. Does anybody else see my screen? You might have to click my, you might have to click in the top left. There should be like a little screen. Yeah, in the top left. In the top left. Alright, cool. So let's start cleaning up these charts a little bit. We did identify some points of interest last week. Due to the fact that it was NFP, jeez, it's just going through everything right now. So we're going to remove these daily fair value gaps. We're going to remove these points of interest that we identified last week, only because it's just wild, man. That was a wild week. Well blessed. So this is still kind of valid. We're going to remove this one right here. We're going to remove this here too. As you can see right here, the trend line, right? So it's following the trend line. We are on a bearish trend. We are on a downtrend. But due to the fact that we did have NFP, that thing just blasted right through all this. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Massive amount of movement, right? But we still are technically on a downtrend due to this trend line. This daily candle right here closed right below the trend line. This trend line's been stable, it's been static since September. If you can see my other previous video from last week, it's still in the same exact spot that I put it, only that it's respecting exactly where it's at right now. Right, so these lines, they removed these lines. These lines I was using when I was doing a lower time frame. But let's get back into it, right? So due to the trend line, we are still on a daily bearish trend. Only thing is that it just came out over the past 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have a bearish candle closure. Well, not closure, but we started below the closing of the previous bullish candle, right? We're gonna go down in a lower time frame. Right here you do have two different fair value gaps on the daily. Usually when it comes to the fair value gaps are left as imbalances in the market after a hard displacement, and this is textbook right here, displacement. Down here right before the move, right? So the indicators that I'm using are FEG by Nephew Zam, EZAlgo V10, and EZSMC, right? EZSMC is what's identifying my fair value gaps. EZSMC also identifies your order blocks. This order block right here, I would definitely identify. Let's mark that. Let's keep it. Right? Let's identify that as a bullish order block. Coordinates are as follows, right? The beginning is 14364.33. The bottom of the order block is 14040.94. When it comes to the order blocks, we're going to identify this and label it as a point of interest. This is a daily order block. Label it and pay close attention. I'm highlighting this order block as blue. Blue is bullish for me. You can have it green as bullish for yourself as well if you're using default candles. My bullish candles are blue, my bearish candles are gray. This is just something for me to help me with my psychology when it comes to trading. I didn't like seeing red candles. Red candles will give me mad anxiety. So change them to gray, neutral color, and I'm good, right? Now I can just focus on watching the charts. Fair value gaps are left over here on the daily as well. After an imbalance, we're going to mark those two right there. And we're going to mark this one here as well. If I'm going a little too fast for you guys, please let me know. I'll slow down. This fair value gap right over here, 14845.03. Bottom of it is 14681.88. Other fair value gap underneath it, you're looking at 14670.23, 14410.94. You're looking at both of those right now as well. We're going to label them as daily fair value gaps, so we know what we're working with when we go to lower time frame. Alright, perfect. Then I also want to identify the halfway point. So the halfway points are right over here. Halfway point for this one is 14539.68. You can probably round that off to 14540. and then this halfway point is 14763.61. You can round that off to 14764. Alt H is going to create lines. These lines right here, we're going to label them as daily FVG 50%. This is going to be a point of interest on a lower time frame. Usually when it comes to fair value gaps, that 50% is going to be a high probability entry for us. So we have to always identify that and pay close attention to that on the lower time frames. So we're going to identify them as daily FVG 50%. I'm going to color it blue because it looks bullish. Daily FVG 50% here as well. Style blue bullish. And then style blue bullish here as well. Crazy how much power this NAS has over the past few days. But hopefully I'm waiting for this retracement. I want this to come right back into that trend. And my goal is for it to come to this monthly fair value gap 50%. If you were in the live last week, we identified it the week before that as well. I want to make it known here. This monthly fair value gap 50% point is at 13773.11. This is a monthly fair value gap 50%, right? This is a very high time frame, very important level for us. When it gets there, be very cautious. Let's try to get that huge move from there. But in the meantime, we have to get down there somehow, right? So that's identified on the daily. We're gonna go down now to the 4 hour. We do have an order block over here, but we are working inside this order block, right? So if you want, we can actually identify this order block as a bearish order block. So the fact that we didn't blast through this on the daily and we're consolidating inside of it gives me confidence that we will, I wouldn't say will, but it gives me confidence that we have a higher probability of reversal in this area inside this order block, since it's holding pretty well, right? We won't know for sure until tomorrow at the end of this candle's closure. Now let's go into the 4 hour. How's the 4 hour looking? 4 hour candle, we're about to close in an hour and a half, a little bit older than the previous candle. That's all right. Right now we are at the the midnight open. We are over, right? So our aim right now is we're looking for sells. We are in a bearish order block right here. We are on the trend line for the daily, and we are at an extreme premium right now. So what goes up must come down, right? We're looking for that reversal. We're looking for that opportunity to go bearish. 4 hour, we have another fair value gap right over here. We have an order block over here on your left. Always look left when it comes to these charts. We have an order block here, fair value gap over here. This order block now becomes a breaker block. Breaker block is an order block that gets pretty much taken out and then gets retested. As you can see here, the top of this wick, bottom, the top of the candle, that is your order block. There was some kind of reaction to it, so it went through it and then bounced right back off it. So that order block became a breaker block. So now this is bullish over here. We're going to identify this fair value gap over here, and we're going to mark it. I'm going to color it blue, and we're going to label it. It's going to be a 4 hour order block, 4 hour fair value gap. Coordinates for this one is 14969.31, 14884.58. These are the coordinates for the 4 hour fair value gap. We're going to label it 4 hour FVG, and then we're going to also identify the 50% point. 50% point is right here on these little dotted lines for me. We are bullish on that, and the coordinates for that 50%, 14928.39. Right? We're gonna label that as well. 4 hour FVG 50%. That's another area of interest for us. Sorry if the chart gets a little bit too much when it comes to the labeling, but there's a lot of points of interest when it comes to this. So let's identify all of them and let's try to be as positive as possible when it comes to them. We have a 4 hour fair value gap over here as well, so we might actually be seeing some more movement to the upside. This candle over here wants to close under below the previous candle to create a bearish candle. So let's watch this to see what's gonna happen. We'll probably get some reaction during the London session. So in the London session, if this breaks below this and then rejects off it, then we can definitely feel more comfortable going bearish. Now if it doesn't break through this, the 4 hour, and it continues trading above it, we are still bullish. So let's identify this 4 hour fair value gap. This one is at 15087.52. Bottom of it is 15055.40. Guys, if I'm going too fast for you, just take a screenshot of it while I'm going through it, or if I'm going too fast, just let me know. We'll go over it again, okay? Halfway point is going to be 15072. Alt H, we're going to identify that as bullish. Need to label this as well. 4 hour fair value gap, and then the 4 hour fair value gap 50%. Alrighty. Kind of sad though, because I'm actually looking for bearish positions, but it looks like it still has a lot of juice left. Right? So even though over here on the RSI, so this is EZAlgo oscillator, which has a combination of like RSI, MACD. It's oversold. We're at a premium, high premium. When it comes to daily is just getting there. So it still has a little bit more ways to go. It still has a bit more volume. So this is the 4 hour. Let's go back to the 1 hour. Oh yeah, I love that. That looks good to me. This is the 1 hour. Tap here, down here. 1 hour, 1 hour. Here's a 1 hour fair value gap right underneath the daily fair value gap 50%. We're not going to mark it because that daily 50% is right here, so it's definitely going to bounce off here in this area. There's going to be some kind of reaction. So that's way too small of a fair value gap to make any difference when it comes to overlapping that daily fair value gap. This one over here is in a 1 hour fair value gap. That's a big fair value gap too right here. This one's been touched, mitigated. This one has not been mitigated. We can definitely see some kind of like movement here. This one we're going to identify. We're going to identify this 1 hour fair value gap. Coordinates for this one are 14644.75 and 14584.91. Text 1 hour fair value gap. Identify the halfway point. Alt H. 14614.83. 1 hour fair value gap 50%. Cool. I identified that. This one here is another fair value gap. So much bullish momentum. It's crazy. Alt H. We're going to label this one as well. This is 1 hour fair value gap. Coordinates for this one are 14442.40, 14425.67. Right? We're going to label that as well. That's going to be my 1 hour fair value gap 50%. Right? Cool. let's go back to the daily, right? So on the daily, we identified a couple different fair value gaps. We've identified over here daily fair value gap 50%. This is 14,539.01. We've identified also this daily fair value gap 50%, which is 14,763.61. Right, we are bullish, but we are in a premium, a heavy premium, in a downtrend. We should see some kind of reaction over here. You need to be very, very attentive when it comes to trading within this range over here. We are inside a daily order block, bearish order block, and we are at about the 50% range when it comes to this. All right, let's see what this is at. Style. Where you at? Middle line, yeah. Yeah, we are just right above the 50% line. And really depending on how this candle closes for the daily, is really going to depend on the rest of the movement. So we are in a premium. I'm looking for sells because we are really overextended. We have a buy side liquidity point right over here. So if there's no reaction when it comes to this order block here on a bearish, then this is going to be the next point that we're going to be looking for shorts for bearish positions. So depending on how this works out, we're going to have a continuation to the downside, but you're also going to get heavy resistance when it comes to these fair value gaps, because these are high time frame fair value gaps. You have two different dailies over here, you have a couple different 4 hours, and you have 1 hours. So when you come in down to these areas, definitely go down into the 5-minute, 15-minute time frame and look for your points of entry while you're doing, you know, your strategy. So when it comes to your strategy, it really depends on what you're doing, but definitely identify these points of interest due to the fact that you are looking for bearish positions after so much heavy bullish movement. Be very careful. Try to trade on the lower time frame and be in and out of your positions. Don't try to be greedy. Don't try to ride the whole wave down, because this is going to be a very bumpy ride on the way down. Yes, we are still in a bearish trend. Yes, we still should somehow interact with this monthly fair value gap at one point, but in order to get there, we do have a very bumpy ride. So be very careful when it comes to those positions. Move your stops to break even as soon as possible when you get a chance, and yeah, just try to go for 2-to-1 risk to reward on a lower time frame. Entries should be around 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and then just look for the optimal positions when it comes to your strategies. Now, does anyone have any questions when it comes to NAS on the points of interest? We've identified daily fair value gaps, we've identified 4-hour fair value gaps, we've identified 1-hour fair value gaps. Our entries should be on 5-minute, 15-minute time frame, and they should be from liquidity point to liquidity point. So if you took out a buy side liquidity point within a point of interest, aim for the nearest sell side liquidity point, right? Let's try to be as conservative as possible when it comes to, you know, your positions, because it is going to be a choppy ride on the way down. Any question, guys and girls? If I am moving too fast, please let me know. I'll slow down the pace a little bit. But we do have a lot of members here that were here last week, who I feel like are caught up to speed. If you're not caught up to speed, please let me know. I'll slow down a little bit. If not, give me a thumbs up in the chat, and we'll go next to US 30. US 30, I'm going to be a little bit quicker. US 30 should go along the same route as NAS, in theory. Sometimes it doesn't, though. This past week was pretty crazy when it came to NFP. I got 1 thumb, 2 thumbs up. Alright, going now. Alright, cool. Speak now, forever hold your peace. 3 thumbs up, 4 thumbs up. Alright, cool. Next, US 30. Let me clean up US 30 a little bit. Or should I? No, actually. Should I still clean this up? Alright, cool. So last week we identified that this was a daily fair value gap over here. It was a bearish fair value gap, but it just blasted right through it. Why blasted through it? It created fair value gaps. So let's clean up these charts. Let's identify the new points of interest. Look at this. Guys, we might be onto something. Check this out. Left side, fair value gap, daily, unmitigated, right? Bottom of it, entry. I don't know if you see what I see, but check this out. This right here is your buy side liquidity. We're inside a buy side liquidity point on the daily. We are taking some liquidity right over here. In theory, once we take out a liquidity point, meaning we're running everybody's stops, taking all their money, you know, liquidating them, it should come right back down, right? In theory. So right here, depending on how this candle closes, even when it closes, even if it closes above it, I'm going to be looking for optimal positions for the sell side. I'm looking for bearish positions. Over here we had a bearish fair value gap that was completely destroyed after NFP week. So all this right here is invalid. Remove that. We're going to identify two different points of interest right here. Actually three. This buy side liquidity point is beautiful. Let's mark that together. We're going to color it red because I want to be looking for shorts here. And I just wanted to identify it as a point where we're going to be looking for shorts due to the fact that it is a buy side liquidity point, right? It's beautiful and it's right underneath the fair value gap. So let's identify this order block here, excuse me, buy side liquidity point. Coordinates are 34142.55. Bottom of it is 34028.71. Awesome. Let's identify this fair value gap over here. Right? We didn't really think that we were going to be using this one, but it looks like we might actually have to. This one's coordinates are 34416.61. Bottom of it is 34134.12. Halfway point, Alt H. We're going to color it red because we are looking for shorts. Halfway point is 34277.47. We're going to label it a daily fair value gap 50%. And then that's going to be a nice point of interest when we're looking for bearish positions. We might still have a little bit more juice up here, going to this daily fair value gap 50%, and they come right back down. This is more like a swing trade. It might take a couple weeks. This buy side liquidity, it's the 17th of October. We're touching that point right now, right? So it might take a couple weeks to come right back down, but it looks pretty good. It looks like a really good entry, honestly. Right, we have two different fair value gaps over here, bullish fair value gaps, one here, one here. Let's identify them. Right here. This one's coordinates are 33805.24, 33320.37. We're going to label this as daily fair value gap. And we're going to label as, let me see, this one is going to be bullish. Reason these are bullish, it's because you have a displacement, heavy displacement to the upside, breaking through this to two previous levels of daily fair value gaps and just blasted right through them. Right? We also have this fair value gap down here. Let's identify that. Coordinates for this one are 33252.91, 33117.99, right? We're going to label also, we're going to identify the 50% lines. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, Alt H. Alt H, and then we're going to color these lines blue because they're going to be bullish. These points of interest are a little tricky, right? So even though it's going to come down, it's going to get some heavy resistance on the way down. So it's either going to blast through it with some monster volume, or it's going to just like consolidate on top, break through, come back, retest, and then same thing, consolidate on top, break through, come back to retest, and then go down, right? So there's many ways it could happen, but it's gonna get some fat resistance on the way down. We identified both of these. Let's also label the fair value gap, daily fair value gap over here. And if you guys are paying attention, please comment in the chat right now your favorite kind of food to eat, right? Let's say you're going out on the weekend and you're like, I want to spoil myself, I want to splurge. What kind of meal will you get? Let's go down into the 4 hour fair value gaps. Let's identify these monsters right over here. This monsterish fair value gap within the daily fair value gap. Boom. And it's right above the 50% line. Four-hour fair value gap. Let's label it. Coordinates are 33742.21, 33561.71. Great thing when it comes to confluences, if you have order blocks, fair value gaps, right, or PD arrays overlapping each other, that's usually a really nice telltale sign that it's a nice solid point of interest. You have the daily fair value gap overlapping with the 4-hour fair value gap on top of the daily 50% fair value gap line. Those are really nice confluences. Right below it is another fair value gap. That fair value gap is right below the 50% line on the daily. So let's highlight that as well. Pretty beautiful. Let's label it together. 4-hour fair value gap. And then let's identify the 50% lines. Let me see if I have any other ones. This one. It's gonna take us a while to get back down to those. Let's not identify those right now, but those are there available as well if you want to mark those on your own later on. But we're gonna go over these here. Like I said, it's gonna be a choppy ride on the way down, similar to Nas. Where over here is a fair value gap that it blasted through. Form the same over here. So this is a solid area of interest here too. Because if you can see right there, that has not been tested. As soon as it blasted through here, it has not been tested here either on the 4-hour. That's a really nice confluence there, so be very careful when it comes to that. Same thing here. You have over here on your left, look left, last order block, bullish order block before the downtrend. This is overlapping, almost identical to the 4-hour fair value gap right over here, the 50% line. This 50% line on top of that 50% line, almost identical. So that's a really nice confluence when it comes to your point of interest. You have another baby fair value gap right over here. Right? Let's see, look left. Any confluences? Not so much. Has been an area of interest. We have bounced off that area. We have wicked down underneath that area as well. But this is going to be a nice point of interest on a lower time frame entry. Fair value gaps right over here. We're identifying it. We might even tap into this during the London session and bounce up or just blast right through it. Right? You also have this little baby fair value gap over here on 4-hour. That's not identified, and it should definitely get retested. We have a couple different 4-hour fair value gaps. We're gonna go over the coordinates right now. Let me just look left on this one to see what's going on. And that's the point in which the market structure shift was broken into the downside. It's a bearish. And if we break over here too, we'll do a market structure shift. Alright, cool. So let's go over the coordinates when it comes to this. Coordinate for this one is 33928.17. Bottom of it is 33884.43. I'm going to label it together. 4-hour fair value gap. I'm going to label this one together as well. 4-hour fair value gap. Coordinates are 33801.94, 33773.19. Remember guys, I'm also recording this. I will upload it to YouTube as soon as possible today, so you can go back, you can take your screenshots when it comes to the actual inputs of the coordinates, so you don't have to feel rushed. If you don't catch a coordinate right now, that's perfectly fine. I'll upload it for you guys. You should have it within a few hours. Now 50% lines, let's identify those. These are going to be bullish for me because these are bullish fair value gaps on a huge bullish displacement. 50% fair value gaps are going to be 33907.33, and then this one is 33787.20. Perfect, we have identified those. Look how beautiful this looks. Oh, I want this to come down so bad. It's kind of like tempting me. Overbought, premium zone. Easy Oscillator saying it's overbought. Bias says it's very bullish, but if you catch it right, oof, that's gonna be a monster. Got a bearish. We're going down into the 1 hour time frame now. We have a bearish engulfing candle right here. We have a bearish reversal signal here on EZAlgo. We opened above the daily open, previous high, and now we're underneath the daily open. 1 hour fair value gap overlaps with the 4 hour fair value gap that we had already highlighted. Halfway point is at the exact same halfway point. That's a nice area of confluence for us. We're not going to identify the 1 hour because it overlapped perfectly where we wanted it to be. So that 50% point is exactly at this 50% point. That's beautiful. This little line that we've identified right here, 33907.33, that's going to be a really nice entry point for us on the lower time frame. That is great. Confluences as well. Sell side liquidity right over here. It's going to be the previous day low, sell side liquidity, and also the fair value gap on the 4 hour fair value gap are in the same area. This is a very tight area. Another great confluence, that 4 hour fair value gap overlaps this 1 hour. This 4 hour fair value gap 50% also overlaps this 1 hour over here. So those are really nice points of interest right there. So we should definitely see some kind of reaction, some great reaction, especially here, 3 different confluences. Over here, 2 different confluences. Here you have 1, 2, 3. 1 hour fair value gap over here, right above this fair value gap. Let's identify that one too, right? That one's still good. We're gonna highlight this one. We're on the 1 hour. Coordinates are 33736.37, bottom 33687.93. Identify the halfway point, odds H. Let's label it together. 1 hour fair value gap 50%, and then let's label the order block as well. Alright, fair value gap 50%. Cool. We do have this other fair value gap here, and then this other fair value gap here. These are the 1 hour fair value gaps. They are a bit low, but you never know, right? Maybe they can go down right into theirs. So let's identify this one. Should be about right. 1 hour fair value gap here. The other one is a bit low. I'm not going to identify that now, but if you do want to mark it for your own pleasure, go on ahead and do so. You have one right below it, but we'll stop on this one here. I think with these we should have enough for this week. Coordinates for this one are 33422.46. Bottom of it is 33398.51. Text, let's label it 1 hour fair value gap. And cool, we have those now. This is US 30. So US 30, how I'm looking at it right now is, check this out. high to low. We are on a beautiful downtrend. I usually do my downtrend lines as yellow just because they're obnoxious and I want to. We have a daily fair value gap here, 50%. Should definitely see some kind of reaction if it gets up there. If not, then right here in this buy side liquidity / bearish order block, it should definitely reject. Right? 1, 2 different points of interest we're playing out in this one, and then we have choppy C's on the way down. Right? Does anybody have any questions? Genetically modified Cheetos, that's a good one. 16-hour smoked brisket, good burger, steak, can't go wrong with the pizza. Yeah, definitely +1 for pizza, man. I like to spoil myself with pizza. Giant ribeye is great. Broccoli, oh man, I wouldn't look forward to a weekend to eat broccoli. I do enjoy it, but not something that's my go-to. Guys, does anybody have any questions when it comes to US 30? Any questions? Any questions? Does everybody understand the points of interest we identified? We identified daily, we've identified 4-hour, and we've also identified 1 hour. We're comfortable with that. Let me get a thumbs up. We'll move on to gold. Like a fire sign, I like fire. Thumbs up, guys, thumbs up. We'll move on to gold. I want to make sure everyone's understanding what we're doing. I don't want to go too fast either. Hell yeah, I do love me some gold. I see a couple new faces in here. Please chime in the chat. Let me know you're here, you're alive, you're breathing. If not, we do have the video. It's going to go uploaded on YouTube in a couple hours. That way you can rewatch all this. If you're not 100% attentive, that's perfectly fine. Take it at your own pace. This is going to be live for you guys. It's going to be uploaded in YouTube as well, so you can go back to it and then just identify your points of interest and be you know, aware. Remember, when it comes to the strategy, you guys have your own strategy. Me, I just identify your points of interest. Strategies, we do have strategies inside the user submitted strategies channel. Check those out. Great strategies in there. I would definitely suggest trying out the BB order block by Boy2K if you're very new into this. Trade on the high time frames. Do not try to scalp. If you're new to the game, do not scalp. Right? You're gonna learn really fast how to lose all your money and liquidate yourself within a matter of minutes. You don't want that. I've done it. I've been there. You're not gonna make faster money. You're gonna lose faster money. We're moving on to gold. We did get the thumbs up. We're going into gold now. Ooh, gold is so beautiful. So gold. Gold is a monster lately, but we might have opportunity. We might have opportunity to actually short it. Believe it or not. Crazy, right? Never would have thought. We're looking right now on the weekly time frame. Weekly time frame is still bullish, but we're hoping for an opportunity, right? For an opportunity for it to come to the bearish side. Excuse me. So we're gonna go down to daily. Daily. So check this out. Daily, we did identify a previous daily fair value gap over here, 50%. We've had that already marked, and we tested it out. Crazy. How beautiful. Tore through it, 50%. Closed above it. Closed above it. Now closed below it. Tested. Closed below it. Again, wicked up. Closed below it. And now this daily open below it as well, right? This leads me to believe we might finally be turning towards bearish, right? Great thing too, this over here was a buy side liquidity, this lower high over here. ripped right through it, took out all this liquidity, took out all these stop losses. And remember, before a big move, you gotta get some fuel, right? That rocket fuel. So it's either gonna blast off or come crashing down, right? We took out all this liquidity, that's our fuel. In theory, since we took out buy side liquidity, we are now looking for sell side positions. Same thing if we were to take out this over here. If we took out sell side liquidity, we're looking for buy side positions, right? In theory. Sometimes price action does not act the way we want it to if it's red folder news, which is why you should always check the news every single week and every single day before you trade, right? Be aware of that. Identified areas of fair value gaps here. Weeklies we did identify in the last one, in the last live. 1953.62 is a weekly area with 1932.34 as the bottom. And then over here we also have another weekly fair value gap, right? 1908.52, 1850.15. Our daily fair value gaps here overlaps, so this is the one we should be paying attention to for now. This fair value gap over here, this daily one, was mitigated already. It was tapped into on the 23rd of October and closed in it. Rejection towards the upside, but continual movement bullish. This over here though, this is a great area. If I were you, set your alerts. 1942.87. This is definitely an area of interest that we're looking at right now. And then right here as well, where we're playing at right here, this area, we might actually just be catching a reversal. So definitely look into this in a lower time frame. It looks like we're getting rejected off the daily fair value gap, the daily 50% fair value gap. I'm gonna remove this small bear bullish fair value gap that I had here. This area here, consolidation. We're getting some consolidation, so accumulation, consolidation, and we're just waiting for the manipulation. So it could either break through here, get a little bit more liquidity, and then displace all the way down. It could accumulate and then start moving down, and then come right back up, and then continue going down. But we should definitely see some kind of reaction in this area. We're on the daily now, so let's move down to 4 hour. Maybe in the 4 hour we can see a little bit clearer. Market structure shift. We are still bullish on the 4 hour. So here on the 4 hour, you see this higher high, lower high. You get displacement to the downside and also market structure shift. You have this here. This was on Tuesday 31st, October 31st, Halloween. On Halloween, see here, I have something here marked as well. That was the daily fair value gap, which it blasted through. So let's check this out. Halloween, you had this one candle, 4 hour, created this. %50 lines right over here. We're going to color it white because we're just observing for now. Alright, close underneath it, market structure shift, bearish, bounced off this order block over here. And not only that, it also tapped into this fair value gap again, picked up some more fuel. Came back up though. Came back up, left at a fair value gap here, bullish fair value gap, tapped into it, strong, and then came right back up, market structure shift. We have a market structure shift right now towards the bullish position. It's not a huge displacement. It's kind of nuts how it's reacting right now too. The candle closure right here, it's a little bit above the fair value gap on the 4 hour. You have this order block right over here. So if you look left, this order block here is tapped all the way to the top of the order block and then came right back down. It's a nice confluence. Then you have these bearish candles following it. So it took out all the liquidity that it needed to reach the top of the liquidity, which is the top of the order block, the previous order block, smashed through this fair value gap, rejected off the fair value gap, daily fair value gap, smashed over here too, smashed here, sat on top, accumulation, manipulation, more accumulation. This should be a manipulation as well. Going through that. So now we should definitely see some displacement. In theory, right? At the end of the day, the market's going to do whatever it wants to do. This looks a little bit too clear to me. So I might be actually a little bit skeptical to get into this position. But it looks like we're actually switching over into bearish position. Right here's the 4 hour. If this 4 hour closes right below this, the previous low, we're looking at a market structure shift to the downside. And then in that point, we should start looking for bearish shorts, bearish positions. We might even have some fair value gaps here left over after the displacement. Once you get a market structure shift and it's confirmed, we're going to start looking for shorts. And there's going to be a lot of movement towards the downside when it comes to shorts. We do have a couple of areas of opportunity when it comes to these fair value gaps. Let's identify those, right? Let's look left. This has been mitigated. It's been tapped into. This has not been tapped into. It's right underneath this weekly fair value gap too. Let's highlight that. This might be a nice little area for us. Here you're looking at 1935.23. Bottom is 1925.21. I'm going to highlight this area. Color it blue. I'm going to label it. We're looking at the 4 hour. 4 hour fair value gap over here. Coordinates here, 1935.23, 1925.21. We're going to identify the 50% line as well. Alt H. Color it blue because we are bullish on this. Should bounce off, go back up. Coordinates on that at 1930.40. This right over here, little baby fair value gap. Let's identify that too, right? Four-hour fair value gap. Coordinates on this one is 1919.19. Wow. 1916.92. Identify that. Remember, when we're doing our entries, we're waiting for it to have some kind of reaction on a higher time frame, 4 hour, 1 hour, daily, going down to 5 minute, 15 minute for our entries. The lowest I would do is 5 minute. 1 minute gets a little bit too choppy. 3 minute helps break down a little bit of the noise, but still not as accurate as 5 and 15 minute. I like 15 minute a lot. Here's another couple fair value gaps here. Great thing about this one, it overlaps with this weekly fair value gap, so that's very high quality. Let's identify these two. It's a ton here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I'd be looking at this weekly. Let's identify if there's a daily one there too. Yeah, there's a daily one here. This is 1897. 1897. Yeah, so that weekly, the daily, then the 4 hour overlap right over here. This is very high quality. Let's identify this one. Right now we are getting a little bit low. This is at 1898, right? We are sitting right now at 1990. That's a long way to go. So I think we'll stop over here. Let's identify this one though. This is pretty high quality. We're going to identify this halfway point. 4 hour FEG 50%. And then it overlaps. Overlaps daily. Daily and weekly. Let's identify that. This is a pretty high quality fair value gap here. So definitely one of the ones we should definitely be looking out for. All right, cool. Identified 4 hours. We're looking for a market structure shift bearish. so we can get comfortably in a position for bearish. Let's go into 1 hour. What's the 1 hour telling us? 1 hour, look at this fair value gap over here. Break a structure over here. We need to break over here. We want a market structure shift, bearish market structure shift. We're looking for something kind of like this, right? Boom, 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 boom. Destroy the lower low. Then we're officially a market structure shift, a bearish one. That's what we want. But until we get that market structure shift, I would be cautious entering shorts. Definitely monitor it, but be very cautious. Daily open, we're sitting right at the daily open. So we're not at a premium. We would be at a premium over here on the previous day high. Or if we were trading above here, so we're not at a premium. So when it comes to, you know, taking shorts, definitely be at a premium or extreme premium looking for shorts. Same thing in reverse. If you're looking for longs, it'd be nice to be at a discount zone, right? So you want to be at the sell side liquidity if you're going long. You want to be at the buy side liquidity if you're going short. So this could actually reverse all the way back over here and then come right back down. So wait for a market structure shift bearish, and then we're going to start looking into positions for bearish positions. How's this look? This is on the 15-minute. Market structure shift. 50% tapped into. If you guys are watching this one, right now you're on the 15-minute. It's fighting with this fair value gap, market structure shift on the 15-minute. You also have a fair value gap over here on the 15-minute. 50%, excuse me, is 1993.92. This might actually be an opportunity. Depending how this closes, this 15-minute candle closes, we'll come back to it. We might actually have an opportunity to short it, right? Let me see. Yeah, we'll come back to this. So we might actually be building up an opportunity to short during Asian session, which I really wouldn't, because it's going to accumulate for the next couple hours. It's pretty much just going to go back and forth between the daily fair value gap and the sell side liquidity over here for the next few hours. But we'll come back to it in a few minutes. Cool, so that's gold. We identified the weekly fair value gap. We've identified also the daily fair value gap. We've identified 4-hour fair value gaps, and we have identified the fair value gap, the 4-hour one, that overlaps with weekly and daily. So that one's pretty legit, which is right over here on the 1930. Yeah, 1930. No, excuse me. It's over here on the 1898. So that one, all three overlap. That's a pretty solid order block. But in order for us to get there, we have to drop a significant amount just to get into that area. So in the meantime, we've identified a few on the way down, right? We do have to take out some more sell side liquidity, but it looks like it might be turning, right? We are at a premium right now. We just tapped into this fair value gap over here. If you're looking left, you have a daily fair value gap over here, bearish. We tapped into the 50% line of that, and now it looks like it's rejecting. So like I said, going on into the lower time frames, we've identified the different points of interest when it comes to gold: weekly, daily, 4-hour. I did not identify 1 hour. That's perfectly fine. For this one, we're looking at our points of interest within our sessions. So in order for it to be a high quality trade, look at it in the London session, look at it in the New York session, look for your entries during those times. We are identifying this on the 15-minute. but remember, it is the Asian session, so do with that whatever you want. I'm gonna wait for London session to get into this trade, but just monitor this. Right now it looks like it might actually just close above that and then continue through it, and that's perfectly fine. Identified gold. Now, guys, do you have any questions when it comes to gold and the points of interest that we've identified? Are the positions clear enough for you guys to understand? Do you understand that we are in a zone where in theory we should be looking for shorts depending how the market reacts? We are reacting as accumulation. We're consolidating in this zone, which is good. Gives me confidence that we might actually just reject off it and go back down more than it's just going to break through. Because if it was going to break through, it would have just broken through. But we are at a premium right now, so I am looking for shorts. And we did tap into a previous bearish fair value gap and reject off it. So I am looking for shorts. But if it breaks through and it closes above this, then the bullish bias is still intact. I do also have another higher time frame zone. I've had it there for a few months now. That's 2071.48. So if you want to identify that area, you're more than welcome to. Once it passes that, it's going to be at an extreme premium, and I would definitely be looking for shorts there because it's just overextended completely. Another cool thing, if you have easy oscillator, you can tell right here, we are turning into a little bit more bearish volume. We're into the gray. If you're using the default signals, the default settings, it's going to be red. So you're going to see a little bit red on your charts. Do you guys have any questions for gold? Any questions, guys? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Guys, if you don't understand anything, this is the time, this is the place. Remember, this is a casual chat. We're just identifying points of interest. I'm not going to tell you your strategy is bad. I'm not going to tell you what strategy to trade. Trade whatever works for you. Trade whatever you're comfortable with. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. That's what we're here for. Let's learn together. No questions a dumb question. Literally, we're all here to help each other out, become better traders. Remember, EZAlgo, our community is dedicated to make sure that you guys are all better traders and are learning together. Analyze USD CAD. Yes and no. Yes, I'll analyze it for you. And no, I don't trade any CAD pairs due to the fact that their technical analysis and price action are so screwy that to me it's very scammy, right? It's like scam coins. I wouldn't suggest doing CAD if you're new into trading. You might have your own strategy that works for CAD, but I would definitely, I would skip out on trading CAD pairs if I were you. Now, knowing that, Milano, would you still like for me to analyze USD CAD? Which is perfectly fine. I'll analyze it for you, but if you're newer into trading, I would definitely suggest other pairs. Cool, gotcha. So I have all the CAD pairs blacklisted, so I have to add it into my chart. Ooh, I like this. I like this a lot. Alrighty. So I mean, very clean on the daily. Alright, look. So we're looking left now. We're looking left. We did take the previous buy side liquidity, so we tapped into that, took out all that liquidity right there. We also printed a reversal signal, and we also, let me see, do we have a market structure shift? Not yet, but we do have a nice strong displacement. This is on the daily too. Nice strong displacement to the bearish side. Right now we just tapped into a order block over here. It looks like it might actually just get rejected. But the good thing about that is we did displace with a fair value gap here. So let's identify this fair value gap. Fair value gap area over here. We are identifying this as a bearish fair value gap. Let's label it together. Daily fair value gap, and we're going to identify the 50% line. Red because I'm going bearish position and I'm hoping to break into a bearish market structure shift. Also, I might be going a little bit fast on these, only because I would like for you guys to review it with the video, since this is going to be like more of like a personal trade for you guys. And like I said, CAD pairs, I do not trade CAD pairs. This looks really clean. That's awesome. Do your thing. Let's identify the 4 hour. 4 hour. 4 hour, we did break market structure shift. Continuation. What was this? Wednesday. Wednesday. What is this? What is this? Right underneath. Cool. Daily fair value gap over here, 50%. Let me label that as well. Daily fair value gap, 50%. That's on coordinate 1.37984. Right? And then you also have this fair value gap here. It didn't mitigate the 50%, but it did tap into it. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't like it. Fair value gap here has not been touched into. Let's identify that. That's 4 hour. These red lines that you see, these dashed lines, these are news. So these are news that affect CAD pairs, and these are news that affect USD pairs. Due to the fact that this is USD CAD, it's going to show me all the red folder news. You can enable that here in the settings. Event breaks, future events, economic events of the chart. Right? It's good to know. Kind of like a little reminder that you're trading red jacket news, red folder news. Let's identify this fair value gap over here. These are 4 hours fair value gaps. Top is this 1.37279, 1.37064. Bottom is this 1.36920, 1.36830. Mark the text for our FVG. For our FVG, we're going to identify the halfway point. Halfway points are right here on the right, 1.37175, 1.36874. We're looking for some kind of reaction at these points. Right here, we are looking at a retracement, a pullback. And if we pull from the previous high, this is the previous high, to the retracement, fibs. If there's a confluence overlapping, then it's a high quality trade. So check this out. Fair value gap 50% overlaps with the 0.62 on the fibs. Milano, if you want the fib retracements that I use, these are the numbers. 0, 0.62, 0.705, 0.79, negative 0.27. Negative 0.27, that's your take profit. 0 is the pullback. And then these three here, these are called OTE, optimal trade entries. These are three different DCAs. These are three different DCAs entries for you to get in. And whenever there's a confluence, it's a higher probability trade. Good thing for you is 0.705 and 0.62. Both are overlapping inside the fair value gap. 0.62 is actually overlapping the 50% of the fair value gap. So both of these entries are really, really solid. 0.79 is a little bit overextended. If it were to close above the 0.79, I would definitely not get into a bearish position. It might actually start going to the bullish side. So I wouldn't be comfortable being in a short position after that. But definitely monitor the trades on the lower time frames. You are on a sell from last week's high. Should I continue holding? Let's see. Last week's high, you're referring to here. This is March. Last week's high, the 23rd, Monday. All the strategies are inside. No, it's a different section. So the strategy section is, I'll copy the link right here into the chat. Give me 1 second. How do I come back? Over here. Strategies are over here. And then Milano. So your question is, you started holding from here, which is where? Where exactly did you enter? You said last week's high. What exactly was your entry? $1.38642. That's a good entry. It's a really good entry. So let's mark it together. 1.38642. Yeah, it's a solid entry. Right now, I really hope you're taking profits, right? So let's say, for example, this was your stop loss. Right now, you should be at like a 3R. You're at a 5R. I would take profits. I would take profits due to the fact that right now you are at a daily order block right over here. You should have some kind of rejection. So you took half profits. That's great. On the daily, you're going to get a rejection right there because it's an order block. So it might actually just come back all the way back up here. Your next area of interest is going to be this fair value gap over here. So this is another area where you should see some kind of reaction. So if this doesn't wick it all the way back up, then this is going to definitely wick it up, right? You're at a 5R, dude. I would have just closed out. Close out your position. If anything, if you want to leave it running with like a 25% position, and then have this area here too. We identify this area together. Look for another entry. Whatever strategy you have for entries, it looks pretty solid. Apply that same strategy to this area here, the daily fair value gap area here, this area of interest, and you can probably re-enter into this area here. Good thing too is we already tapped into buy side liquidity here and buy side liquidity. So on a higher time frame, you are looking bearish. So you might even get an opportunity to re-up your bags when it comes to this, right? Boom, boom, boom. This is on the weekly. Weekly's turning bearish as well. Leave that runner, that 25%. Target this sell side liquidity. Might take you like probably 2 months to get to here. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less. Leave that runner running here, and then definitely look into re-upping your bags over here into the daily fair value gap. Right? That's in theory. If the market reacts the way it's supposed to react, which you never know, right? The market's gonna do whatever the fuck it wants. If it reacts like it's supposed to react, you'll get another opportunity to re-up your bags here. And then your optimal exit's going to be down here as a swing trade. Alrighty. Let's do one more pair. We are running at an hour and a half right now. One more pair from one of the new guys, right? So if you've been in this live the past few weeks, which I know who you are, let's give the new guys a fair shot. Someone identify a pair for me, and let's go over it. And by the way, great entry, Milano. That's a sniper entry, bro. Whatever you're doing it well. Just join the chats every Sunday and continue hashing out that trading psychology, okay? Welcome in, Yelena. Welcome in. Simple break and retest. You're good, man. You're good. Whatever you're doing, just keep at it. Keep at it. Alright, so I do see a couple people here that I haven't seen before. Let me see. Roy. I have Roy here. Roy, you've been here before. Tony, you're fairly new. Tony, identify a pair for us, and let's analyze it together. Come on, guys. The chart is too blurry. Um, it looks good on my side. It says it's going at 1440p. It might be your internet. That's fine. I'm gonna upload the video on YouTube soon, so you can definitely see it at your own pace. It is a little bit blurry. Oh no. GBP CHF. Guys, if it is blurry for you, there might be something wrong with Discord. That's perfectly fine. I'll upload this on YouTube for you guys, okay? So that way you guys can go over it. GBP CHF. Let's go look at it on the weekly. I know GBP's been having some cool movements lately. Alright. Let's identify this. Oh my god, what is this choppiness? This is a weekly chart. What the? Roy, why are you trading this? I mean, it could be good on lower time frames. But jeez. What's going on in here? Alright, cool. Weekly time frame, you're in consolidation. Consolidation. Weekly says it's bullish, but you're on a downtrend. Right? Why is it bullish? Did we take in any liquidity? Yeah. Alright, cool. So check this out, Roy. What kind of trend are we on right now? We're pretty freaking bearish. Downward trend, exactly. We are consolidating in here. Strong consolidation, but it's on the weekly. Meaning, if you have the strategy for it, go for it. Lower time frame, if you're good enough, you can be getting the tops and the bottoms. You can be longing and shorting throughout this entire consolidation period really freaking well. If you're good at that, you know. This is what it looks like on the daily. Daily, it's literally hunting the liquidity points, the buy side, sell side. This is a fair value gap. It's not half bad on the daily. A lot of consolidation. Pretty respectful when it comes to the fair value gaps, but you would definitely have to go on the lower time frame. Sell side liquidity, you have a fair value gap right over here. So check this out. You have two different fair value gaps. So if you're looking left, you have a fair value gap right over here. Which you kind of have to zoom in for. And even the indicator didn't catch this. So here's your fair value gap. Numbers are on the right side. When it comes to the coordinates, let's check this out. Broke underneath it. So that's mitigating. Right, so that's why I didn't identify it. Then you have this one over here. Coordinates are on the right side of the screen. Let's check that out. Pretty solid. Alright, cool. So we bounce off a previous fair value gap. Massive wicks here on the daily. We're looking for buys. You have a displacement to the upside. Yeah, you have a displacement here to the upside. You're gonna get some resistance up here. So, but it is super choppy. Check this out. You have this fair value gap over here. Tapped into it, broke it, but it didn't go above the wick. So it's still kind of like valid when it comes to the bearish position. If you were to go to the previous candle and put the wick in the stop loss above the wick of the previous candle, if that's your strategy, then you would have still been in the game for this one, and you would have still gotten out with a 2R. Either way, if you're targeting 2R, let's say for example, remember we're on the daily. If you do the 50%, target the previous. Since we're on the daily, you target the top of the candle of the FVG, and then aim for 2 to 1, it's gonna be solid. It's gonna be solid. Here is pretty good too. It's still continued. That's great. All right, so we have that happened. I actually got in a really good position here in September. So we do have a displacement to the upside. We have a fair value gap over here, and then we also rejected off this fair value gap. So the fact that the rejection of this fair value gap led to this displacement gives me confidence that this is either going to continue to this buy side liquidity, reject off that, come back down to this fair value gap, and then ping pong right back up. But either way, this area here, this fair value gap, it's going to be a nice point of interest on like a 15-minute time frame. Right now we're on a daily. So this right here on the 15-minute time frame, we're going to identify this. Coordinates right here on the right side. Take a screenshot. And then we're going to identify that. That's going to be your daily fair value gap. We're going to identify the center. It's going to be Alt H. We're going to color that blue. Label that as well. Daily fair value gap 50%. Let's look at it on the 4-hour. Let's see if there's any confluence. Yes, there is. There's also a 4-hour fair value gap in there. Let's go into the 1-hour. Let's see if there's any confluence in there. There is also a 1-hour fair value gap there. You have 3 different. You have a market structure shift as well in that same area, bullish, and then you have a retest of this fair value gap here. Retest, boom. So this one, yeah. So that's a nice area right there. There really isn't anything else besides this fair value gap over here on the 4-hour. Let's mark that too, right? Let's mark this little area here. Definitely watch this area. Here's your 50% line right here as well. And then those 2 areas, keep an eye on those. Because if it blasts through this one, it should retest off the other one. And then it should just ping pong up and then take out that buy side liquidity. It's very bullish right now too, which is great. So you are looking for longs in this current market condition. Yeah, for sure. And like I said, the market's going to do whatever it wants to do at the end of the day. Question, which indicator are you using for fair value gap? Fair value gap indicator I'm using, it's called FVG by Nephew Sam. It's going to be right over here. FVG, Nephew Sam. I'm using EZAlgo V10. And I'm also using EZSMC. That's my Smart Money Concepts indicator. Can you paste the names here? Yes, I can paste the names and I can do a screenshot. I can barely see the screen. Let me see. Guys, is everybody seeing my screen blurry, or that's only a few users? Trying to figure out. It's a Discord thing? Okay, cool. That's fine. I will upload it on YouTube, and then I'll also get Discord Nitro, so that way I can upload this in 4K. That's fine. I'll put it on YouTube so you guys can see the charts a little bit better. Sorry for that quality. And then also for the late joiners, it's going to be on YouTube so you guys can just refresh yourselves with it, and you can go over all the pairs that we went over here at your own pace. Guys, does anybody have any questions for me before we end the live? I want to make sure you guys are all comfortable. You're comfortable in NAS. What areas, points of interest that you're looking at? You're looking at weekly. Actually a monthly. NAS is the only one that we're actually identifying a monthly. We're looking at a monthly, weekly, daily, 4-hour, 1-hour. On gold, we're looking at weekly, daily, 4-hour, 1-hour. And then also we've identified US 30, daily, 4-hour. We've also identified GBP CHF, and we identified USD CAD. Does anybody have any questions for me before we end the live? Speak now or forever hold your peace. If not, give me a thumbs up, everybody, if you feel comfortable with what we went over today. I will then start uploading the video to YouTube so you guys can rewatch it at your own pace. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Let's go. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining this live. I'll see you guys again same time next week, Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, daylight savings time has changed the time zone in the United States. So depending on where you are in the world, double check your hours. We are on during a different time. All videos will be uploaded on YouTube every single week. Watch it at your own pace. And any questions, write them down. We'll go over them next week. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, have a great rest of your week, guys, and have a profitable trading week.